반갑습니다. 대한민국 국무총리 김민석입니다. 기후위기 극복과 녹색성장의 지혜를 모으는 자리에 함께 해주신 모든 분들을 진심으로 환영합니다. 마르시아 도네르 아브레우 주한 브라질 대사님을 비롯한 각국 대사님들, 또 외교사절 여러분, 그리고 마팔다 두아르테 녹색기후기금 사무총장님, 김상협 글로벌 녹색성장기구 사무총장님 반갑습니다. 대기온도와 이산화탄소 농도가 해마다 최고치를 갈아치우고 있습니다. 산불, 폭염, 폭우, 자연재해도 매우 극심해지고 있습니다. 당장 우리가 매년 한국에서 경험하고 있습니다. 기후변화로 인한 재해가 세계인들에게 고통을 주고 경제에도 큰 부담을 주고 있습니다. 기후위기를 시급히 해결해야 한다라는 인류의 간절함이 오늘 이 자리에 함께한다고 생각합니다. 대한민국의 새 정부는 재생에너지 중심으로 에너지 대전환을 이뤄서 탄소 중립과 경제 성장을 함께 달성할 계획을 발표했습니다. 정부는 태양광, 풍력 등 재생에너지를 대폭 확대하고 아리백 전용 산업단지를 신속히 조성하려 합니다. 대한민국 전역을 연결하는 에너지 고속도로는 탈탄소 기술과 신산업 발달을 촉진하는 환경 친화적 경제 성장의 토대가 될 것입니다. 대한민국은 녹색 전환을 위해 국제사회와 긴밀히 협력하겠습니다. 대한민국 정부는 2021년에 그린 뉴딜 공적 개발 원조 추진 전략을 수립하고 그린 ODA를 지속적으로 확대하고 있는 중입니다. 온실가스 감축, 기후 적응을 위해서 UN, 녹색기후기금, 글로벌 녹색성장기구 등 국제기구에 대한 기여도 강화하고 있습니다. 대한민국의 기업들도 기술력을 바탕으로 해서 친환경 탈탄소 솔루션의 제공자로서 적극적 역할을 담당하고 있습니다. 올해 11월 브라질에서 제30차 UN 기후변화 총회가 열립니다. 이에 맞춰서 각국은 2035년 국가 온실가스 감축 목표를 포함한 기후 대응 계획을 제출해야 합니다. 대한민국 정부도 도전적이고 또 실현 가능한 목표를 마련 중입니다. 각국의 적극적인 협력으로 기후변화 총회가 큰 결실을 맺게 되기를 바랍니다. 오늘 콘퍼런스는 각국의 탄소 중립 정책, 청정 에너지 전환 및 기후 기술 등과 관련된 비전, 지식, 경험을 공유하는 소중한 장입니다. 오늘 논의된 내용을 바탕으로 해서 국제사회가 책임감과 연대감을 갖고 기후위기에 더욱 적극적으로 대응할 수 있게 되기를 기대합니다. 대한민국도 함께 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
안녕하십니까. Your Excellency, the Prime Minister of Korea, Kim Min-seok, Honorable Professor Kim Sang-Hyup, Director General of the Green Growth Institute, Mrs. Mafalda Duarte, Executive Director of the Green Climate Fund, Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to address you at the opening of this important conference organized by the Presidential Commission on Carbon Neutrality and Green Growth. On behalf of the government of Brazil, I wish to thank the Republic of Korea for its leadership and commitment to fostering international dialogue on one of the most defining challenges of our times, the climate crisis. In just a few months, as His Excellency the Prime Minister mentioned, Brazil will have the honor of hosting the 30th United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP30, in the city of Belém, at the heart of the Amazon region. This is not just a symbolic choice. The Amazon is a vital ecosystem for the planet's climate resilience and it serves as a powerful reminder of the urgency with which we must act. We are facing an emergency. The past year marked the hottest temperatures ever recorded. Every continent has witnessed the escalating impacts of climate change, from floods and wildfires to droughts and sea level rise. Science is clear. We are approaching critical tipping points. The time for incremental change has passed. We now need both systemic and immediate action. In this connection, I would like to recognize the leadership of President Lee Jae-myung and his government's ongoing efforts to align the Republic of Korea and its economy with a sustainable and carbon-neutral future. Korea's growing investment in low-level carbon and renewable energy technologies, we just saw amazing examples of that, led by the Prime Minister, are encouraging signs. As a global leader in innovation and advanced technology, Korea has huge potential to be a key partner in accelerating the development and dissemination of clean energy solutions globally. But as we prepare for COP30 in Belém, I encourage all of us to see this conference not just as a meeting of minds, but a catalyst for partnerships, solutions, and renewed political will. 감사합니다. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, the Prime Minister Kim Min-seok, Excellencies, dear colleagues and friends, very good morning to all of you. It is my great honor and pleasure to join this important conference today. I extend my deep gratitude to the diplomatic corps for their presence here, and especially to Ambassador Marcia Abreu, as we all prepare for successful COP30 in Brazil later this year. I am very much confident that COP30 will be a landmark moment, a great journey that demonstrates our collective will and power to confront the climate crisis. In this regard, it is notable that Korea's greenhouse gas emissions have declined for 3 years consecutively, from 2022 to 2024, falling back to the level of 2010. As the former chair of the Carbon Neutrality and Green Growth Commission, I find it quite encouraging that this reduction was achieved while Korea's economy continued to grow. But let us be clear, the climate crisis is worsening. And with the national target of a 40% cut by 2030, our efforts must accelerate greatly, more than now. And we must scale up support for green technology, and we must speed up the nurturing of talents who will drive this transformation. Having said that, I hold high expectation for President Lee Jae-myung and the new administration, which is making climate response a central pillar of state policy and advancing the creation of a new Ministry of Climate and Energy. As Prime Minister said compellingly, this government is going to increase the portion of renewable energy in the national energy mix and build new energy highway to decarbonize our country. And I'm really, really glad to hear that the new administration is absolutely committed to expanding green ODA. How about a big applause here? Today, I stand here as Director General of the Global Green Growth Institute, and I ensure GGGI will work hard hand in hand with Korea, the pioneer and host country of green growth, to realize our shared vision. As you know, Korea is home to two major international organizations for climate actions. One is the Green Climate Fund, led by my esteemed colleague, Executive Director Mafalda Duarte, and the other is GGGI, which I'm serving. Since its establishment of GGGI, GGGI has become the most fastest growing international organization in the world. Today we count 53 member countries as our member countries, and with nearly 30 more countries are waiting to be with us. And with offices around the world, more than 40 offices and 30 duty stations, we have been doing about more than 200 projects and supported the mobilization of green finance up to $15 billion. Since assuming the office earlier this year, I have launched 3 strategic initiatives: carbon market, artificial intelligence, and clean hydrogen. On carbon markets, we supported the very first ITMO agreement between Cambodia and the Republic of Korea under the Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. And we are partnering with the UNFCCC to strengthen global voluntary carbon market also. On AI, we are developing AI-powered digital MRV systems to build more credible capacity building across member countries. And on clean hydrogen, we are preparing the launch of H2G. H2G means hydrogen to green growth, an international cooperation platform on clean hydrogen with over 20 countries, which we plan to unveil at the APEC summit in Korea this October. These are only small steps, I know, to achieve our sustainable future we desire and we need to have. We must work together with even greater ambition. Considering the gravity of the climate crisis, climate actions is like running a marathon at the pace of sprint. But can anyone truly sprint an entire long-distance race? That's why we need a relay. Each runner must give their utmost part in their section and then pass the baton to the next. That's how we can run the marathon with the pace of sprint. And this is the essence of consistency and continuity in climate policy. And I'm really glad to witness it here with the statement by His Excellency Prime Minister. And to achieve it, trust and cooperation are indispensable. And this is why the international gathering here today makes so much meaning. Let me close with this: facing really unprecedented global challenges for climate actions. If not now, then when? If not us, then who? This is the time, and we must rise to the challenge together right now. Thank you very much.
Excellency Prime Minister, dear diplomatic corps, Excellencies, distinguished colleagues and friends. It's quite a pleasure to be here with you today. I think it's a very timely event. But before I go on with my other remarks, let me thank the Presidential Commission on Carbon Neutrality and Green Growth and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, our host, 감사합니다. Thank you very much for bringing us together. As His Excellency the Prime Minister and the other esteemed guests that provide welcoming remarks alluded to, we are living quite unprecedented times in many regards, but on climate, certainly. And the most visible expression of it are the climate impacts. As was also mentioned, here in Korea, 2023, record heat waves claimed at least 3 times more lives than the previous summer. And we saw the country's worst flood in history earlier this year. But it's not just Korea. It's all over the world. Across Eastern Africa, Central America, Caribbean, large parts of Asia, we experienced the highest level of disaster impact over the past 2 decades. And this is all over the world. It's not a phenomenon of developing countries or developed countries. It's impacting everywhere, in all geographies. We also know that climate finance, climate investments are not keeping pace in either of these geographies, either developed countries or developing countries. But in emerging markets and developing countries, if we exclude China, we will require between $2.3 and $2.5 trillion a year by 2030 to meet the climate goals. And that is 4 times the level of investment that we are seeing today. So this is the context that we are in, and it is the context that we are leading to COP30 as well, and of course, certainly I join others in applauding Brazil for its leadership and holding and making this COP what we expect to see is a level of emphasis on accountability that we have not seen in quite some time. And accountability is important because year over year we make commitments in these COPs and we make commitments elsewhere, but when do we hold ourselves accountable to these commitments? This COP will test our collective resolve because of where we are in terms of climate change and how far behind we are in the race, in the marathon, but because these are challenging times for a variety of reasons. So from this point, I really want to recognize Korea, not only as the host of the Green Climate Fund, but also as a country that demonstrates what ambition looks like in practice. Korea, as was alluded as well, has made a legally binding commitment to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050, and it has established a policy framework that provides certainty to investors and innovators. And we just saw some of the innovators outside in the corridor. It has set a record overseas development assistance budget of 6.5 trillion won, with a sharper focus on climate-vulnerable countries and green solutions. And this has been done at a time when development finance worldwide was and is in retreat. And to the Green Climate Fund, it has been an extraordinary host and supporter with $6 million contribution. So Korea has made a very concrete investment in sustainable economies and stronger communities worldwide. Because we are a global institution, we are investing in developing countries. We have investments in more than 130 countries. So the contribution of Korea is expressing itself in the support in all of these countries globally. The Green Climate Fund, as a cornerstone of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Paris Agreement, is the world's climate fund for developing countries. We have, over the past slightly more than a decade since the Green Climate Fund first started to invest, we have committed $18 billion, and of course our resources are expected to be catalytic So $1 of our resources, mobilizing many more from, in particular, from private sector. Just last month, we had our board and a record commitment level of $1.2 billion in new funding. But we anchor our mission in two big priorities, which again very much resemble or illustrate also the commitment of Korea, which are private sector capital mobilization. We know we are not going to be able to meet the goals if the private sector capital is not mobilized. So that is one big pathway for us. We have a significant private sector portfolio. We support directly private sector entities. And we really tackle the constraints and the gaps and the risks that others are not well placed to tackle. And one illustration of that is that we have the largest equity climate finance portfolio globally. But our other big focus is the most vulnerable, is vulnerability. And in that sense, we are also the largest provider and enabler of adaptation finance. As a matter of fact, we have a mandate from our board to provide half of our finance for adaptation efforts and targeting the most vulnerable. We also sit in a privileged position because we have the widest network of partners. So we have this largest network of partners to actually implement this funding. And why is this important? Because for a long time, we had a rather limited number of entities investing aligned with climate. So it is really important to empower a much broader network of organizations, from local financial institutions to private sector developers, to empower a much broader network of organizations, because it's only by empowering a broader network of organizations and having them all aligned towards the goals and aligning their investments towards the goal that we stand a chance to meet the objectives. Korea is one of those. We have 3 entities in Korea. We have partners all over, and many of the countries here represented today, we have partners, both international partners that work in your countries, but also national partners, entities within your own countries, including governments. But in Korea, we have the Korean Development Bank, we have KOICA and SQ Securities as partners, accredited partners with GCF to deliver these investments. And just one example, in Indonesia, with the KDB, we have provided $250 million to unlock bank lending for energy-efficient industrial upgrades. So, Excellencies, as this conference begins, let us remember that we are in this together, and that developing countries are counting on us. As a matter of fact, I usually say, if we don't win the battle in developing countries, we will not win it at all. For many reasons. They have the largest population, they represent the largest GDP, that's where most of the population growth is happening, that is where most of the energy demand is happening. So if we really don't achieve results, tangible results in these countries through tangible levels of investment, unfortunately, we will not finish the cross line of the marathon. And I don't think we have a choice. We owe it to the new generations. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to the new generations. We owe it to the most vulnerable, those that are disproportionately impacted and have not done much to bear that impact. So we are ready to partner with all of you to bring scale, flexibility, and the risk appetite to go where others will not. And we are very hopeful that working together, we can make this COP30 a turning point that sets the world on a different path of inclusive and resilient growth, a path to impact. Thank you very much.